Welcome to virtual lunch in the Exhibit Marketers Cafe. It is that time again. I don't know about you, but I look forward to Tuesdays because I love having lunch with you. So I'm Marlys Arnold, and I don't know if you would call me the head chef, the lead barista, the maitre d' of the cafe, but I am so happy to welcome you and to have you here today. We have a special guest that I'm going to bring on in just a few minutes to talk about leading from the inside out, which I think is a very important topic for everybody in our industry right now because, we're trying to lead our way out of this mess. And, I think that Heather Hansen O'Neill is going to bring us some really good inspiration and advice here in just a few minutes. But as always, I have some links and some topics to share with you first. So one thing I wanted to share, a couple of things that are kind of interesting. I always like to share some innovations or some very creative ideas of what companies are doing. Blockbuster, as in Blockbuster video stores, you may not realize, but there is one store left that's in Oregon, and they've been in the news lately because they created an Airbnb experience. Now, not so much for the fact that they created the experience that you can do the sleepover in the video store, which, by the way, I had a friend in high school who worked at a video store. So there was a group of us that got to do that one time. It actually was quite fun. But it's not so much about the fact that they did this on Airbnb and they're renting it out because they're only doing it for 3 days. But the concept is that they got really creative and really innovative. They did it just because they wanted to do it as a thank you. It's only open to people in their local community, and they wanted to show support or to show appreciation for the support the community has given them for all these years. But the idea of thinking way outside the box and what can you do to get attention and to be a leader and an innovator. And so I thought that was a really great example. So Alan has put that up here. My husband, Alan, as always, is in the background putting up the links. And so this is the link. And again, I finally have learned. And so now those of you watching on YouTube, I've got the links there in the description, so you can scroll down. Don't scroll ahead. But yeah, you've got those links there, and then obviously they're popping up here in Facebook. So you're good to go. I'm going to just ask for introduce yourself and tell us the name of a leader that you admire. So we're going to move on here. The second innovation, this one is not exactly an innovation, but it's repurposing an innovation of centuries ago. That's in Italy. And they have these little windows, they call them wine windows, and they were used during the plague in the 1600s because, again, they had social distancing. So they had these little windows, and they have their own little tiny doors. So people walk up and they knock on the little door, and there's a little shelf there, and then they could put their wine glass and it would be filled and then given back to them. So they're using these little wine windows again. And it's not just for wine. They're also, some of them are using them for gelato or cappuccinos or whatever. But it's just, again, it's being really clever and really innovative and using something that they already had or, hadn't used for hundreds of years. So I thought that was clever. DC's Central Kitchen. It's a really innovative project in Washington, D.C. They have been, it's a cooperation where they take, jobless or homeless people, train them in the culinary business, and then they work with local restaurants as well. So they have, I hate the word pivot, but they've pivoted or they've reinvented now. And so they call it a food rescue program. And so they're taking food of obviously we're in the events world. And so there's been a lot of events canceled. So there was food that was on hand that wasn't going, for the original intended purpose. So now they're distributing food to 80 different locations around DC. And they've handed out over 850,000 meals. So they're being very clever. They also work with Chef Jose Andres, which, if you're familiar with him, he does, food deliveries all over. I think we highlighted him in one of our earlier virtual lunches about what he's been doing to help in the industry and, all over the country, all over the world, actually. Another one that's also food related is in New Orleans, and I really love this one. They call it the second line feeds the first line. And so what they did, they had the second line, which is the musicians and artists that were out of work. They put them to work feeding the first line or the front line of the healthcare workers and, people in the hospitals. This is a really crazy long link. Again, it's there for you to click on in either YouTube or Facebook. But what they've done is they worked with the restaurants. So they were buying the food. They weren't just giving it away. They weren't just taking donations. They were buying food from the restaurants. They were hiring the musicians and artists to be the food delivery people. And so they were giving out food to hospital workers. Well, now they've actually transitioned to doing, to actually helping the second line people themselves, the people who've been out of work for all these months. So anyway, this is a great article. If for nothing else, you just got to go see, because it's done by the crew, in New Orleans, they have all the parade crews for Mardi Gras. So this is done by the crew of Red Beans. And so you have to go look at the article just to see the pictures of their jackets decorated in beans. So there you go. You never know what you're going to hear here on Virtual Lunch. I see Matt from Champion Logistics is here. Great to have you back, Matt. I know you're a regular now. We see you a lot. So anyway, so those are some of the clever, innovative leadership things that I've been seeing lately. I also wanted to share, and every week I talk about how, Alan's behind the scenes. And so some people have asked, if you haven't ever met Alan, you see when he pops up the link, it's just my picture that shows up. So I've got to pick Alan, but just to introduce, if we're friends on Facebook, if we're personal friends, you may have seen this. This is probably like the most popular post I have ever put up. I shared this last week. This is Alan, and he gave me permission for this. This is his before and after. So this is Alan. Oh, let me take the comment down here. This is Alan from last summer to this summer. So, and it's not like he's done some wild, crazy diet thing. This is, we've been just eating really healthy. 5 months of no fast food and no sodas has really helped. And of course, then, we're also taking walks almost every day as well. So, there he is, the before and after, and he's looking good. He's feeling good. And he's just very happy with himself for making this finally making this life change, I guess. So that's what we're hoping, is that it is a life change, and it's going to be his new way of living from now on. Even when he goes back to work somewhere, he's not going to eat the junk food. But anyway, on that, I also wanted to tell you that last month we did an episode called Take Care of Yourself. And I talked about play, chill, and grow, and gave you some different ideas. I've actually put together a 7-day challenge workbook. And so walks you through things like how to start and end your day with self-care and trying new things, and doesn't have to cost a lot, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. So if you would like to get a copy of that workbook, just let me know, and I will, I'll get that out to you. Right now, it's a PDF. I'll just send to you. Oh, Jill says, looking good, Alan. She's known Alan for a long time. So, all right. So we are going to do just a couple other quick links, and then I'm going to bring our guest on. First of all, the future of events. This is an interesting article from BizBash talking about how meeting planners and trade show organizers are going to need to become collaborative artists. And one model for the future of events is doing what's called the hub and spoke model. And so it's kind of interesting where there will be like one main event, and then there will be satellite locations possibly all around the country. And so I think it's just a really interesting premise, and I really think it probably has a lot of merit. So it'll be interesting to see how many events start to go that way. Do we have that link, Alan, for the Biz Bash article? There we go. Another massively long link. But anyway, so there you go. It's up. You can click on that. Go check that out. Also, the Las Vegas Convention Center is on track to finish their expansion project in December. So I've got a link for that. It's got some good pictures. It's got a little video, like a little slideshow video that you can watch. There we go. And the new expansion is beautiful. It looks great. I can't wait to see it in person. But if you want to get a little bit of a sneak peek, you can take a look at that. All right. And then as we lead into our guest, whoops, wrong screen. I wanted to just share a quick quote with you. The successful person makes a habit of doing what the failing person doesn't like to do. And you can substitute out the word leader for successful person, that a leader does what the failing person doesn't like to do. So with that, I'm going to introduce our guest for today, Heather Hansen O'Neill. And I got to meet Heather, I guess you could say meet, in the virtual world at one of the many virtual conferences I attended this spring. And I was very impressed with what she had to say. And as I got to thinking about bringing on guests for virtual lunch, I thought, this is a very important topic. And Heather has spent the last 18 years firing up organizations on leadership development and change management. She's the author of Find Your Fire, and her clients have ranged from entrepreneurs to Fortune 100 companies, and she helps them all lead more effectively, and that results in increased customer loyalty and better flow of productivity. So Heather Hansen O'Neill, welcome to Virtual Lunch. Welcome to the cafe.
Thank you, Marlys. This is fantastic. I appreciate you inviting me on today.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, let's start out. I know we used the title for this episode of Leading from the Inside Out. I just love that terminology that you use. So explain to us what you mean by that.
Oh, I would be happy to. You see, I feel like in today's world, especially, you let everyone in on my secret that I have had my business for a long time, but it has happened throughout those 18, 19 now years. But in today's environment, more than ever, there's this feeling of external things that are happening to us that impact our state and alter our habits, our patterns, how we move forward and interact in the world. And so leading from the inside out is a reminder of how we can be successful. And that is coming back to who we are, what we control, and how we choose to show up in the world. And that's where I come from on this. And I believe that you saw that I actually, for those of you out there who are afraid that maybe we're not doing live events, I did a live event of this topic, leading change from the inside out, last Thursday. That was a great success. So baby steps, we're taking little ones with small audiences now so that we can come back to where we want to be in the world.
Well, and that's true. I didn't mention that part, but you did do a face-to-face event. You did it outdoors, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the weather cooperated. You had a wonderful evening, you said.
Wonderful. Yes.
Which you never know what you're going to get in August, right?
No, you never know. But you know what? You can kind of say that about anything these days, can't you? You never know what's going to come up. So that's why we have to be flexible and focus on what we can control.
Right. So, and you, as you said, you've spent a lot of time in the events industry, so you know how we're all feeling right now. I mean, we're struggling. Our industry is basically evaporated, and we're trying to figure out how to lead the way forward. It's really literally the blind leading the blind. Nobody knows where this is going. But talk a little bit about that. How have you been working with people and helping people during this time?
Okay, well, there's a couple of answers to this. So I have been very passionate about the event industry. And I realized actually last year, before any of this came about, when I was running an event and half of my attendees were meeting planners, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I really need to start focusing on these folks more. So I've been doing a lot of content for meeting pros, not just planners, but anyone in the industry. And it just so happens that now, with everything going on, I'm really, really glad I did. And I've been serving people who have been in this industry for such a long time, are so passionate about the industry and want to continue in it, but don't know what to do right now. There's this element of uncertainty all around us. What do we do? Where do we go? I thought we were going to be able to go back to it. Now we've got to wait longer, and now we've got to do this. And how do we keep people safe? How do we grow our businesses? And so I have been really focusing on having conversations with the industry. I created a group called the Phoenix, which it's a community that helps specifically meeting professionals to transition through this, because I believe that we're not getting a top-down mandate of how to solve this issue. I do not believe that. I believe we are going to move forward by coming together, by sharing best practices, by helping, by collaborating, by communicating. And so that's why I wanted to create that. And I think that, for everyone here, please communicate. Let me know what you need. Let Marlys know what you need, because that is how we're going to move forward.
Well, and I like how you brought up the collaborating. And by the way, speaking of let us know, go ahead. If you've got questions, if you've got comments, type those in. Heather is happy to answer questions as we go along. But I like that you brought up the collaboration, because that's something I've heard other people talking about, how now is not the time to feel threatened or to try to just, blaze trails on your own, but it's the time to work together. So what are some examples of, how do you see that? How can we work together and move forward?
Okay, that's an excellent question, and like you said, I love how you put it, because when we clutch and we hold on because we're thinking, oh, well, there's a limited amount of resources, limited opportunities. So humans tend to hold on to what they have. But you're actually going to be more successful in this environment if you release and stop holding tight to things. You share your ideas. And it creates space for more ideas and opportunities to come to you. I have seen time and time again where people are coming together, they're having these conversations, they're finding those connections, the common ground that they have, and they're building partnerships. Because we're not really, people use the phrase, when is the industry going to come back? It's not going to look like it was before, and that's okay. Right? We need to be open to it looking differently, and it may be even better, but we can only do that when we expand our minds and our opportunity to create new things. And so some of the people in the Phoenix are actually building new businesses based on two completely different skill sets, where the people are coming together, they're working together to create a solution for our clients out there. And that's what we have to do. We have to find solutions so that we can get creative and we can continue to serve.
Well, and that it is true. I think that the innovation quotient, I guess you could call it, has gone way up this year. I mean, that's where virtual lunch came from. I started this in March because I thought, well, let's just do something and try to, be a support group, a support network for the industry. So that's where this came about. There's been so many virtual conferences and talks and things that have come about. It's really fun to watch the creativity coming out. But like you said, I think it's going to be the people, all of us working together to rebuild this industry, partly because not that there's anything wrong with some of the industry associations and things, but there's not like one there's not one entity that's going to say, okay, here's how meetings are going to be, and that's what, last week we did the recap of the Together Again Expo. That was a great example of a group of people working together and coming together to try to define what the new world of meetings and trade shows is going to look like. So let's talk a little bit. We've been focused a lot on, leading within the industry. What about within our own individual companies, or being a leader to our clients and our prospects?
I love this. This is an excellent question. And I think that comes back to where we actually began leading from the inside out. So I'm going to take a step back, and then I promise to answer your specific question about leading within your companies. But leading your own lives, I think, is really, really important, because there's this temptation to allow the negativity, or allow the isolation, or these feelings to, like I had mentioned in the beginning, infect us. And we have to lead by choosing to own what is going on in our worlds, even if it appears as if it's external to us. When we take back control of what we actually control, which is what we think about it, how we feel about it, and how we respond, the behaviors that we have, the choices that we make after this external thing happens, that's leading from the inside out. And when you can do that, when you can choose, because bad things happen every day. We know that. You know that. But good things happen
especially this year.
Right? And over and over and over. When you can choose to find the humor, when you can choose to find what's positive, when you can choose to focus on the solutions or the beautiful moments. I have had the most incredible, deep relationships being built based upon this. So when you can find that, now I'm getting to your answer. When you can find that and leading your own life, then that confidence, that positive energy, that we can do this together attitude translates to your organization. And clients are going to be attracted to that, because our energy can repel people and it can attract people, and we get to choose what happens, right? And so there are people out there, and I know you've come across them. You're not one of them, but you've come across them. These are these people that they don't even know they're doing it, but they're walking around with this energy that makes you want to run and hide, right? And they're wondering why they're not getting any opportunities. Why am I not getting a job offer? Why am I not getting new business? Because your energy is screaming, don't do business with me. So come back to the fact that you get to choose, you have responsibility for it. And when you do that, you'll be like a beacon for your team members, for your clients, and they're going to want to do business with you.
I love that. And the people that have the negative energy, Alan and I call them Eeyores.
Yes, that's great.
Because it is. It's like, Eeyores. Oh, it's a horrible day. And it's like there are and you see them all the time in social media too.
Yes, you totally do. And it's okay. Let me just put this out there for those people who are looking to make connections through social media. You can put it out there, your vulnerability, the challenges that you're having, but you need to show them that you're learning the lesson, that you're finding the silver lining, that you're doing the right things despite these challenges that are happening for you. And that will still attract people. I'm not saying you have to act like, oh, everything's all great. You can be vulnerable, but come from that place of strength and confidence so that people want to be around you, because they know that is going to rub off on them.
Well, and I've seen some good examples of that too. I've seen people who are like, okay, this is what happened to me and here's what I'm trying to do, or can you help me, or do you have any resources, or, those kinds of things. So it's not like you said, just painting the rosy picture of I have this beautiful, perfect life, because, we all know better.
Right, exactly.
There's nobody having a perfect life this year, especially. But, like you said, being able to be vulnerable and to be open and honest and authentic. And I think sometimes, honestly, I think that is more relatable to your clients and your prospects than if you do look, like you've got it all together. If you look like you've got some challenges, or maybe you stumbled, then people are like, oh, I can relate to that. I like her, or I like him because he seems real. So, and I love Matthew's comment here, your vibe attracts your tribe. I love that. That's our quote of the day.
Love that. That's awesome. So true. And you know what, when we're conscious about that, when we're conscious about who we're spending time with, like you guys, Matthew, you choose to show up here today because you know that Marlys has amazing information. She's got great energy and she brings on experts in the industry, right? So you know that this is where you want to be because you want to absorb that and you want to take it out into the world and be better for your clients. And you have a choice today of what to do with this hour of your time. And you made an excellent choice, right? But you also, there are people in our lives, and I don't want to go on and on about this, but there are people who we may even be related to or really close to. Shh, don't say anything. Alan, we don't mean you. By the way, You're rocking your new lifestyle. Keep it going. That's outstanding. You look fantastic. And I love that you use the word lifestyle because I talk a lot about creating new habits and patterns. Right? Because we have to release the patterns and habits that don't work for us and create new ones. And when you use the word lifestyle, what you're doing is you're instilling that this is a new way of being. This is a new pattern that you're going to have. And that creates consistency in your success, in your results.
Well, and that's true in leadership as well. It becomes a lifestyle and a pattern and habits, like the quote that I put up earlier, that it's, it's the habits and the things that you're willing to do that the unsuccessful person is not. So we're getting ready to wrap up here. So what is something, I know it's like this half hour goes so fast, but what else have we not talked about today that you think is a really important point for people at this point in our industry to understand?
So I would say to go back to control. Right? So you can't control everything. So what can you control? Like, what are the things, the actions that you can take that can help move you forward? Because, when you understand where you are and you really hone in on what your gifts are, what your skills are, what your company unique selling proposition is, when you know that, when you're really familiar with it, you're living it, and you know where you want to go, then you can build a bridge there. And I see people right now, they're scattered. They're taking, they're trying to build a little bridge over here, 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 and they're not making any headway toward actually achieving the results that they want. So once you really know who you are, and that way you can differentiate yourself from others in the industry. Once you know that, and then you know where you want to go, you keep taking those actions along that same path toward that goal, and you're going to get there so much faster than when you're out there just trying all these different things. I think that's important to recognize right now.
That's a good point. And I know I'm guilty of that too, because I'm an idea person. So I've got 9 million ideas and I'm trying to run and chase after all of them. But it's true. It's like if you only get 2 planks on each bridge built, you're never going to get across the river.
You know what, Marlys? I just want to bring this up for you because I am you, right? So I'm an idea person, and I like at 3:00 in the morning, these things are like flooding my brain and I want to do them all. So what I plan, right? They're exciting. And we can do them all, but not all at the same time.
Right.
So recording with these great ideas has been really helpful for me to be able to release them for right now so I can focus on what's important right now. And then because I'm a why big vision person, I have to surround myself with people who know how to implement and help me implement my vision, because, I embrace my whyness, my vision, and then to have other people help along the way to get to where we need to go together. It's about doing this together.
Well, and that goes back to that whole leading by collaborating and building bridges together, because one person building a bridge is a lot harder than having a team building a bridge, right?
Exactly. 100%.
Well, and I want to share too, just you were talking about all the ideas. And one tool that I found, I use a tool called Plutio, but it's very similar to Trello. Yeah. And there's a lot of other different kinds of tools out there, but using that is just like an idea compositor, where you just throw all those ideas in there and just keep track of them all that way, and then start working on them one at a time, or 5 at a time, maybe.
I know. I don't want to just narrow you down to one, Marla. It's 3. 3 is a good number.
3. Okay, I'll narrow it to 3.
Okay.
But so, finding a way like that you can keep things organized and moving ahead and building those bridges, I think is an important thing. And I know you have a wonderful tool that you're providing for everybody today. So tell us about that. And Alan's going to put that link up as well.
Oh, thank you, Alan. So I have something called post-pandemic sales strategies for the exhibit marketers here. So what we're doing is I'm giving you a checklist of the different ways that you want to think about, the different ways that you want to move your body that will help, the different actions that you can take. So a checklist of different things that will help you if you happen to want to increase your sales in this atmosphere right now. It's free. It's for you. You can check that out there. And if you do have any other questions after that, I'm an open door. So you can email me or find me on LinkedIn, ask me a question anytime. Happy to help out. Because that's what we have to do, right?
Well, and I love that you put that together. So thank you very much for doing that. And I did get a sneak peek at it. It's got a great list of tips and ideas on there, idea starters for you to help in the future as we move forward, as all of us try to figure our way out of all of this. So Heather, thank you so much for sharing your time today and coming to the cafe. And I see it doesn't look like we have any other questions at this point. So I'm just going to say thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who joined us today. And I know all of you are wonderful leaders, and you have all kinds of ideas and capabilities and skills. And together we are all going to come out the other side, and we are going to rebuild and re-innovate and reinvent the trade show and events industry. So Heather, thank you again for being such a great guest today in the cafe.
I appreciate it.